Now, no, Barinder, let's talk a little bit more about interoperability. And the industry talks a lot about it, but many healthcare organizations are still operating with a really fragmented imaging environment. Why is interoperability so difficult?
I think Terry actually touched upon it really well early on when she talked about the fact that they have these really old legacy technology, like these legacy systems in place, but they're mixed in with these new systems. And it's the new systems that have made really good use of these standards for interoperability, like FHIR, like DICOMweb. And the fit between these newer, more modern systems and these legacy systems is kind of a wonky fit. They're very ill-fitting systems, and so every additional system that you add, it's a source of friction. And really, when we talk about friction, it's all of these little things that add up. Like extra step here in the workflow, an extra application that you have to navigate to, an extra alert that you have to deal with. And all these things just add up, and it's a cumulative effect, this friction that slows things down, it grinds morale down. And those are the real sort of contributors to poor interoperability, because it's not just a capability issue. It's not just the fact that I've adopted the standard and therefore I'm interoperable. Interoperability without usability is frankly useless, right? You need to be able to have something that's interoperable, not just in the way that it speaks, but also interoperable in that it fits into these flexible, ever-evolving workflows. And one of the things that we see is it places a huge burden on operational IT teams, right? Because each of these sources of friction, they're also sources of errors, which means that they're sources of escalations. When they want to implement something new, it's implemented. It's difficult to plan what the impact is going to be, what the effect is going to be, because you don't know how it's going to interact with this legacy system versus those more modern systems. So it becomes really, really challenging. And you have to understand that it's not just a technical challenge, but it really is an operational challenge. You need to have the right technology, but you also need to have the right processes in place and the right sort of mindset as well, the right change management in place to get all these things working together in a way that is really efficient and user friendly.
Yeah, that's a great point. Now, Terry, do you feel like healthcare organizations are getting more cautious about locking themselves into, like a long-term technology models?
I do see that as a trend. There are some strong benefits in optionality. And, I'm a maybe unusual CEO in that I really do like to get out and talk with customers. And one of the things I often ask is, why do you have Mach 7? What are the benefits that you get from Mach 7? And one of the things that I hear is you are our ability to pivot other vendors in and out, and that's actually really important. There is a vendor lock-in pain that we see in our industry where you have to have hours. It's very traumatic to take something out, one PACS vendor to another vendor, one specialty system to another specialty system. And technology is evolving really quickly. And so organizations that want to make modernization decisions want to make sure that they create the ability to make that pivot by having a strong vendor neutral archive and really leaning in on that vendor neutrality where there's not lock-in, there's not, costs or issues with trying to access the data. And it's especially important when people are starting to look at things like the cloud and AWS.